drag on it. I got many blessings, I can brag on it. I've been through the fire, I can talk on it. And I heard that in the streets that they got love for me. Oh, shit, oh, Baba. Now, Baba gotta make me turn my swag on. They bother me anytime when the song on. They see the light be shining when it's wrong on. Now you see, say we there run the city. I don't think that any one of you could step to titty. I just wanna sing the song, break it down, or you shake it to the gone, or you chop for me. I don't bear for a long, or I need okay. I don't bear for a long, or you cool mole. I don't bear for a long. If I start to talk, the thing way Papa got it, don't do it no going. My brother, you know going. If I start to count the blessing Papa God it gives me when no going. My brother, you know going. You and me be on some good I know. Oh no, you me CCTV, baby, and any woman so. Even if I walk through the valley of death, I know the fear, and every day be Jackado. You want me be on Tongana, no. Oh no, yeah, me CCTV, baby, and any woman so. Even if I walk through the valley of death, I know the fear, and every day be Jackado. I don't be a something, I don't be a demon, I don't be a demon, and Timinja Nechida. I don't be a something, I don't be a, and Timinja Nechida. I don't be a something, I don't be a demon, I don't be a demon, and Timinja Nechida. I don't be a something, I don't be, and Timinja Nechida. Oh, yeah, when me be on some corner, no. One of your CCTV, baby, and any woman so. Even if I walk through the valley of death, I know the fear, and every day be Jackado.
If you know, take me anywhere you want, I go follow you. Yeah, I go follow you. Oh, where she lie, anywhere. Where she lie, anywhere. Where let's come in on yeah, come in on where let's come in on
Awelelo kamilumbe lesa Limwe umwe shilaka na besa. Come rain, come sunshine, I will give you praise. In my good and bad times, Lord, I will give you praise. There's nobody better than you. Nobody better than you. Oh.
Take me anywhere you want, I go follow you. Yeah, I go follow you. Oh, where she lie, anywhere. Where she lie, anywhere. Where let's come in on yeah, come in on where let's come in on
Papa God, you surprise me. I don't understand how you love me. Dile mucho chabe. first you when it comes so chubby. You love me despite my faults. Take me anywhere I will go. You love me despite my faults. Take me anywhere I will go. Eh. There's nobody better than you. Nobody better than you. Oh.
Take me anywhere you want, I go follow you. Yeah, I go follow you. Oh, where I see you waiting, where I see you waiting, where let's come in on me. Yeah, come in on me. Where let's come in on me. Come in on me.
7.
Yeah.
When they see me hunting at the air, they don't know what I've been through. When me presence flying at the air, they don't know it's just me and you. So take it, Lord, take it higher. With all the praise, we magnify ya. Me never stop even through the fire. Through the fire. Take it, Lord, take it higher. With all the praise, we magnify ya. Me never stop even through the fire. Take me, Lord, where you want me to.
Yeah. To hold me when I'm falling. Mueles I'm coming on me, I'm coming on me.
This is the first child is still.
Oluwa give me your vessel, cause I know bad man want to shank my vessel. Baba, you try for my queso, and I know one never bring shame to your name, Oluwa give me your vessel, cause I know bad man want to shank my vessel. Baba, you try for my queso, and I know I never bring shame to your name,
Yeah, so as you give me that, I don't go ever put you to shame. Yeah, so as you give me that, I don't go ever put you to shame.
I know that your hand is upon me. Make I no go play with my anointing. Cause he did cover me and he did protect me. Every day it's working. I know that your hand is upon me. Make I no go play with my anointing. Cause he did cover me and he did protect me. Every day, man, it's working. This is all I want from you. I need it. Fill me till I overflow. I need it. Fill me with your praise. Put me in a space where you guide my steps every day. I need it. Yes, I need it. You know I need it. Can't do a thing without it. I need it. I said, you know I need it. Oh. Oluwa, give me your vessel, cause I know bad man want to shut my vessel. Baba, you try for my queso, and I know one never be shame to your name, yeah.
God, I call your name on the day. I did try my best, but I'm failing. God, I need your grace, oh yeah. God, I need more grace, oh Lord. God, I call your name on the day. I did try my best, but I'm failing. God, I need your grace, oh yeah. I need more grace, oh Lord.
Oluwa, give me your pressure. Cause I know bad man want to shut my wrist up. Pressure. Baba, you try for my kisser. And I know one ever be shame to your name more, yeah.
Yeah, so I say, give me that, give me that. I don't go ever put you to shame. Yeah. So I say, give me that. I don't go ever put you to shame.
Mix Wonders Magic.
Help me to love you, yeah. And to love another person like I love myself too. Help me to know you, yeah. And to love another person like I love myself too. Cause love is what you want me to do. What you want me to do. What you want me to do. Love, yeah. Love is what you want me to do. What you want me to do. What you want me to do. Love, yeah. Love is what you want. So love the world. You die for it, yeah. You love me so. Give your life for me, yeah. Say love my neighbor as I love myself. Not just to the pull up in the whip, so I feel firm for them. This is your will, not need. If I love you, I'ma keep your commandments. This is for real, not need. I got me love without string attachment, even if it burn me now. Even if it hurt me now. Even if the people I'm trying to love, sometimes they drive me low. Help me to love you, yeah. And to love another person like I love myself too. Help me to know you, yeah. And to love another person like I love myself too. Cause love is what you want me to do. What you want me to do. What you want me to do. Love, yeah. Love is what you want me to do. What you want me to do. What you want me to do. Love, yeah. Love is what you want. If I get love, I know good. Rob my neighbor, I know good. Kill the person, I know good. Rape my sister, I know good. Scam my job, I know good. Lie to you, yeah, I know good. Stop your shine, I know good. Take your wife, cause he loved the world. God for you, yeah. Yes, sir. He loved me so, give his life for me, yeah. Say love my neighbor as I love myself. Not just to the pull up in the whip, so I feel for you down. This is your real, not need. If I love you, I'ma keep your commandments. This is for real, not need. I got me love without string attachment, even if it burn me now. Even if it hurt me now. Even if the people I'm trying to love, sometimes they drive me loco. Help me to love you, yeah. And to love another person like I love myself too. Help me to know you, yeah. And to love another person like I love myself too. Help me to love you, yeah. And to love another person like I love myself too. Help me to know you, yeah. And to love another person like I love myself too. Love is what you want me to do. What you want me to do. What you want me to do. Love, yeah. Love is what you want me to do. What you want me to do. What you want me to do. Love, yeah. Love is what you want. Love is what you want. Love is what you want. Love Love is what you want. Love is what you want.
And what's up, everybody? I think that was like the right place to tune off with with the music. That is like my homemade introduction that I made you people. Since you know that it's been quite a while since we've been at the studio, and we have to adjust. But we have some good news because we are actually moving to another location in the city of Amsterdam. So we're really, really excited about that. That very soon we'll be tuning back with you live from the High Radio Studios and be able to talk to you, interact with you. As usual, have our special guests coming by at the studio so that we could talk with you onward. Welcome this lovely Sunday. This is Time for Africa on Focus, obviously. What else? And I'm your host, Miss Abba, coming to you. Just let's say 13 minutes up until 8 p.m. Amsterdam time. And that is then a couple of minutes before 6 p.m. Accra time. Either way, you're here back with me on this Sunday. Within the coming hour of plus, I'll be entertaining you, fascinating you, hopefully also giving you a new type of view or outlook on life as you engage with me and my co-host Donny. Um, yeah, what's been going on? I would really like to know how you have been throughout this week. But first things first, shall we? This is Africa on Focus, and here is where we share our success stories. Every week, I put in the work, I make it my effort to engage with a global African that can help us change the way we think. We can be educated, we could be somehow encouraged, empowered to change our community all around the world. And that is really what it is all about. Uh, Obviously, we've had some interesting guests who all, have been inspirational in their own right, have been educating us as we've been talking to matters arising, especially as it comes to Africans. And you're here with me again. And today we have a very interesting topic. It was actually this is a part two of the first lockdown specials, which was about the myths, the facts, and truths surrounding COVID-19. I really wanted to make sure that, us as Africans were properly informed on our current state. COVID-19, I think this is a part, that will go in the history books for some way that virus or whatever it is that shook the whole world and unfortunately took many millions of innocent lives with them. But also relating that it's very important that we have the right information and not just assuming that it cannot touch black people or any of that, but we really keep ourselves in health. And because of that, I have again a reoccurring guest, Dr. Sabine Fonderson, founder of HelloDoc.com, a medical doctor who is really going to inform us, and also as it pertains to us Africans, how we can advance our health in these interesting times, and also the do's and don'ts so far. So that is what we are going to talk about in, let's say, about 20 minutes from now. But first, we are going to talk about what Africa in Focus is also about, and that covers the news flash, or let's just say what has been happening in our world. Before we get things going, if you are tuning in from Facebook, please be sure to spread the message on your timeline. Invite everybody to come on board if you're chilling, cleaning the house, or maybe, going through your emails. This is definitely a talk that you should come on board with and be a part of. If you're listening through YouTube, feel free to share the link, spread the word with all of your people, and tell them that today we are talking about health conscious stuff. And of course, hopefully throughout we'll be making you laugh a little. Let me get my co-host here, Johnny, who always joins us and gives us a real interesting perspective on this thing called life. Let me just put it that way. And before we even get it started, I want to give a shout out to a few people. First, I want to give a shout out to Els Dankwa. Els Dankwa is a young creative. She just graduated, and she does a whole lot of things. Like,
she's like that multi-talent. She can sing, she can dance, and she is a professional photographer, videographer. In Amsterdam, she was really well known of capturing people's weddings in a really, weddings, events, and everything in a superb quality. And she recently graduated and shared that online that unfortunately, due to Rona, she couldn't attend her graduation. But on the show, we would just like to spread some love and say shout out to Els Dankwa, who is, a young creative who is doing so much in the community and also inspiring the world around her. Just to say, congratulations on your graduation. And also a shout out to another lady. She had been on the show before. She also graduated. She's now a marketing and business professional. She goes by the name of Crystal. She also does other things like braiding hair and things like that. She's a really strong, resourceful woman who is doing so many good things. And I just want to also give a shout out to her for being such a woman of impact. Impact really starts with the small steps that you take. And I just want to give a shout out to her. Let's see if I could tag her so that she will really know that we're showing her love as an African, doing so much things. So congratulations to these top ladies. Is there anybody else this week that you would like to congratulate, whether it be their birthday, fabulous accomplishments such as graduation or anything of that? Please make sure that you share it with me. You also share their name and everything so that we will show them some love. Let's get into it. I am curious to know what's been going on in around our world. Let's get Donny on board and let's get to talking. Hey, Donny, how are you?
Good evening. I'm fine. How are you?
You sound there. How have you been?
I've been good. I've been good. I've been good. I've been
Oh
good.
wow, that took a while, Donny. That took a
Well,
while for you to answer.
yeah, it's like I'm entering into a different space actually, mentally, and
A different
it's a
space?
process. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm in a different mental
In in
environment. Yeah,
in what way?
in a way that this. So see how I've wrapped this book. This is how I walk. This is the way I'm
What
carrying
is
this book around, like when I'm going to work. It's a book. And I'm carrying like the book of Eli from the and the Old
exactly
Testament.
like Enyezi Gra? Wow.
Right. Understanding human nature.
Okay.
So this book, it's going to transform um my thinking in a special way, and I'm not even halfway in, but yeah, I can tell, or I can feel myself entering into another, yeah, it's just another state of life is about to start. And
Is
it
it?
happens with the yeah, it happens with the books that I read or everything. It's because I'm the type of person, I don't like to waste useful knowledge or useful
Mm-hmm.
information. So if I see it, if I agree with it, um, and once tested and it's effective, I
Right.
have to apply. It goes with the smallest thing as well as with the bigger ideological things that really shift, let's say, your thinking in a
Right.
sense. And this is one of those books that it's groundbreaking. I said it dives deep, deep, deep into the fundamental of my being. Um,
Right.
so so if there are things that I can pick out from this book and apply to my life, it's going to, like this book did with mine. The courage to be disliked. This already shifted my philosophy
Okay.
quite a while, and I'm now used to it, or I've now, let's say, adapted to
Yeah.
it. And this one is going to get me to, into deeper stuff. So yeah, it's kind of like it's giving me this all new vibe, new energy around me. Or yeah, it's a good time to be alive. Let me put it that way. Yeah.
Is it? But you're truly holding it, like the first couple of pages have already impressed you somewhat.
Yes, yes, yes. It's because it's like, let me put it this way. It's your soul. Ooh, which is also like this book kind of gives, or let's say, so far. Because if I would ask you what is your soul, you probably wouldn't even know where to start
What is your
explaining
soul?
what this. Right, exactly. So this was kind of like, and on a scientifical and, of course, psychological level, um, gives a definition, as well as
Okay.
describes the workings of a soul. And I found that impressive in a sense,
Okay.
because it's one of those things. Literally, you can be born, die at the
Mm-hmm.
age of 100, and never have like dove into it, unless it's your field of studies, of course. But other than
Right.
that, no one really thinks, or no one really cares about what the soul actually is. Is the soul the mind, or is the soul behind the mind? But
Mm-hmm.
these are conversations for years I've been having,
Right.
or let's say, are suggestions that I've been having. And it's kind of like this book is giving me certain answers, or where to look for. So in that way, yes, it is refreshing to finally receiving certain information, or certain answers that you've been looking
Okay.
for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, and consequently to that, it's also adding new depth to it, as in, even it even goes that far to, even, let's say, it's explaining how dreams, like what is a dream, or why do we even dream, though, those things.
All
And
right.
it's, yeah, and I'm really, for my personal growth, for the type of person I am, this is what really interests me.
Right.
So for me, it's all right. Okay, now this is like a book that kind of like really speaking directly to me. That's why I carry it the way I carry it. Let me
Right.
put it
Right.
that
That's
way.
why you have
Yes.
it folded in
Oh yes,
like a
and
serious.
we have to keep it folded. And if anyone there, yeah, we have to keep it folded too. Yeah,
Right.
but it's a
Right.
serious book. Yep.
Right. There have been a time actually where I've read on a couple of writers touching on this topic. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really curious to know. Once you finish it, I'll love to hear your review, and then I'll look it up and see if that is something worth reading. But
Mm.
I've had my period of searching or diving into what's been written about the
Yeah.
soul, and that also that part of dreaming, what defines personality and things. So
Right. Right.
that
Right. Right.
that should be really interesting.
It is. And in the field of psychology,
Mm-hmm.
there are, let's say, well, let's say, three pioneers, or even more. But Sigmund Freud is one of them. Um, this one is Adler, Alfred
Okay.
Adler, and then you have Carl Jung. The first book, this one is on Adler's way of psychology and
Right.
understanding human nature. So this new one is also from Adler's perspective to psychology and his approach to the human psychology, or philosophy, in a sense. So
Right.
it's kind of like, it's another whole aspect coming from the same person, but
Okay.
from, let's say, another, you take a step back to what I've
Right.
already learned from this man. So now I take another step back. And as well, there are other, so you can also approach this from Carl Jung's perspective, who also has,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, his own approach to these, let's say, these fields or these issues.
Yeah.
And for me, as a, as an individual who likes to research, I'll definitely not stop here. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll finish reading this, adapt what I have to adapt or what I feel necessary to adapt, and
Right.
then definitely kind of like move on. And for me, it's these are moments where I can really, where I sit down and I enjoy these moments. Why? Because you know from yourself that you are elevating yourself, like you're making progress.
Right.
Um, and that knowledge alone, or to to have that confirmation, self affirmation that yes, you are in this space.
Yeah.
It feels really good. It may not feel uncomfortable because you don't necessarily know where it's going to take you, but you
Right.
understand that there's a process going on from
Yeah.
within.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, that kind of like that makes me kind of like makes me feel good, to be honest.
Yeah. Great. That's interesting. Okay, well, we will follow up on that one really soon.
Yeah, we'll follow
um,
up on that.
for those of you just tuned in, welcome to Africa on Focus. Here's where we share our success stories. A weekly show, of course, with me alongside Donny, where we talk about matters arising in Africa and also within our global communities. And hopefully, we can touch on topics that will impact your thinking, that would drive you for change, and that could, also help build the community. If you just tuned in, feel free to share it on your timeline, on Facebook, on YouTube. You can watch us on our channel, Africa on Focus. And of course, on Facebook, you can find us on the pages DJ Slim Heavy, Africa on Focus, High Radio, of course, and also on my public page on Facebook. And today we have an interesting topic. We're going to talk about, the craziness, this COVID era, the truth, the myths, and the facts. This is part two. Starting this lockdown talk, or let's just say the setting, we've had Dr. Sabine Fonderson, founder of Hello Doc, on the show to, talk about the matters arising and things we should really be aware of when it comes to our health, and not just listen to all of the what's it called, the rumors, fake news about coronavirus. So later on, we'll be getting into that. Let's say in about 10 minutes from now. And now we're actually taking the time of what's going on in our world. Um, I see Crystal Owusu coming on the timeline. I just had to tag you, Crystal, and just wanted to congratulate you again now that you're hearing it on your graduation, because you're now a marketing business professional. And I pray
Yeah.
for favor, and that you might use all of the opportunities that are for you to also further your impact, to build your career, and so forth and so forth and so much more. So shout out to you, Crystal. The new normal, Donny. How have you been adapting to this new normal? Or
Moment
let's
of
just say,
silence.
what is your definition of new normal? Is there a new normal for
Oh,
you?
well, there will be a new normal. The only new normal, the plug.
The what? The plug?
the No, I mean, I'm plugging this book here right now.
Oh,
Lisa Quist
that's
book,
getting all of
the
your
bold
attention.
new, the bold new normal. That should be that for actual Ghanaians out there. This really should be your only new normal you should be thinking about, not
Why the
Corona's new
Ghanaians?
normal. Well, I mean, in a sense, just let's rep Ghana for a second.
So, oh yeah,
Because
Lucy Quiz. Yeah, of course.
right, so Lisa Quist book, The Bold New Normal. This is a new normal we do have to think about and actually have to adapt to, um, in order to strive for success or strive for a better nation, Ghanaian nation or African nation.
Right.
Yeah. Other than that, what else is happening? I think businesses are kind of like coming. I just spoke to an old colleague of mine from the office. You know, what's whereabout and how things were going,
Yeah.
and still currently, most of them are working from home.
Right.
Only some of them, let's say, get to go to the office once a week. And I was kind of trying to see, hey, do you prefer working from home or working from the office?
Yeah.
And I would say in the beginning, they were all kind of like, happy that they could work from home. But
Yeah.
then after a while, it becomes, nah, they want to be back at the office.
Mm-hmm.
And what, from my understanding or from what I've learned, even organizations have taken polls
Mm-hmm.
within their organization to see who prefers working from home, or if they can come up with a new um, let's say new plan. So either
Yeah.
you do part-time home and part-time at the at the office, and how many people are going to do that. So, and this has actually been a conversation that has been there for years before
Mm-hmm.
Corona, because within different departments of a corporation, there were those people, for instance, like in a department like IT always was the first to say, why are we even here? We can do this from our home,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So now, due to Corona, I think most of the IT staff members are going to be working from home,
Yeah.
even whether they like it or not.
Yeah.
But now
Absolutely.
even the other departments as well. Let's say marketing can also do a lot from home, probably also sales or whomever, so they trying to, it's now, let's say, push the conversation to, like, yeah, to the front
Yeah.
of the businesses and of discussions within corporations. How
Yeah.
many people are we going to let work from home, and are they going to do it part-time or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've been picking up about this new normal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you've been gradually, well, the streets are becoming more crowded. At first it was really
yeah,
like, very, very quiet. And even, the supermarkets aren't even putting in that much effort anymore to, make sure that
yo,
you have the carrier.
these supermarkets are disrespectful. Here's the thing.
Oh,
So we talk about this whole Corona stuff, and then, like in the beginning, they were like, okay, we'll
oh,
clean the trolleys and stuff for you, and then after 2 weeks, they were like, the toilet, the paper is there, and you have the disinfecting. You have to do it yourself. And now, when you go, when you walk into the supermarket, there's
is it
always disinfecting. Okay, that's fine. But then
yeah,
there's no paper. So it's like, okay,
no
what am I
paper
supposed to do?
now.
And here's where the disrespect comes in. Before, you could just go in, grab a trolley, even at the overtime. You don't
Yeah,
have to put in a coin,
yeah,
and then you can use it. But
exactly.
now the trolleys are locked. So it's not free anymore. Now you have to put in a coin, and you have to disinfect it yourself. And then you have to, so,
You have to figure it out. Like, listen, you're like now left to
yes.
fate. You can now figure it out
Oh,
yourself. Even last time,
it's,
I think even what's it, disinfectant, whatever,
mhm.
was even finished, and I was like, oh my gosh, is
I
this
was
how
about to
people
say,
are? Yeah, this like it's now like okay, figure it out. And
right,
I'm like,
exactly.
no,
That,
no,
but
overtime
hey,
should not be doing that.
and but that's the thing. So on that aspect, I think things will go back to the old. I mean, people will grab the trolley and just walk right in. No one
Yeah,
even has the time to clean it
yeah,
up again or whatnot, because if they feel like if you don't catch it here, you'll catch it somewhere else.
yeah.
um
Yeah, and it's
but yeah,
probably too costly to be putting people on like a trolley watchers, you know what I mean, or to ensure that people are
yes,
cleaning. So they're pretty much relieved that what's it called, the governmental health organization now has other measures. I don't even know what the rules are even at the moment. Like, I'm not even sure. I only know that you have to wear a mask when you're in public transport, but
Right.
outside, and I truly still use disinfectant. I like, I'm still on. I'm actually very careful, actually.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
I mean, yeah. And most people probably will try to be careful, but it's like the supermarket. It's difficult. I mean, if it's a crowded area,
Yeah.
like not happening. If you live in a place where it's like in a town, or where you
Yeah.
have only two supermarkets in the town center, then that's
Yeah.
fine. But if you walk at Amsterdam Support, where you have the Lidl, you have the Fulmar, you have the Albertijn, you have the Action,
Mm-hmm.
and no, it's going to run out. And I that's where I think these corporations can do better. So
Mm-hmm.
their only task probably will be, always make sure that there is paper, always make sure that there is disinfectant, and
Yeah.
also make sure, because they have this rule, one trolley per person.
Yeah.
And even if you're not buying anything, you still have to grab a trolley. But now I
Yeah.
just see people walking right in,
uh
carrying their groceries in their hands, and because they
it's
don't, because they grabbing one thing, and they don't feel like they have to grab a trolley, which they have to clean and all that. And I'll go, okay, all you can do is make sure there's someone, like you just said, who
yeah.
is making sure that people stick to the rules. That's
Yeah.
all you don't clean it for them. There's paper, there's disinfectant, and there are free trolleys. Just
Yeah.
grab one, even if it's for one stuff and someone is watching. Just do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean that's the best they can do,
Yeah.
really.
I really
Yeah.
think Europe life makes us too comfortable, because it's like, it's the Asian countries, right? I think it was China itself and Thailand who have now taken extra
Mm.
measures where, everybody outside just wears this, or the mouth mask, or they have been doing it for ages. I think we're like 10 years
Oh,
behind
they've
with
oh yeah,
the
they've been traveling with those masks and stuff like.
Oh wow, yeah,
And we all looked weird, and I'm like, huh, why are these
exactly.
Asians always wearing masks? And look at us now.
I know,
Wearing
right?
masks.
I know. It's pretty serious. I am the kind of person that's like, okay, I get it, but I'm still kind of feeling out the testing the waters, and looking out for myself. Where I'll probably be like, let's see how things are gonna go in September, before we just
Mm.
go back to this new normal and
So
things Dutch
so you
people want
haven't
to
been to
try.
the gym yet?
I haven't. I've still been doing the workout at homes, and I heard that because I'm subscribed to Basic Fit. I think you now have to work out by appointment.
Yeah, yeah, which I thought it was going to be a problem, because they were like, yeah, you have to schedule or make a reservation three
Hmm.
days prior to the date of appointment. But in a sense, I can wake up right now and schedule an appointment for the next hour. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, so like I think it's more for the, let's say, how do you call it? Tracking, the
Oh,
location
okay.
tracking, or yeah, more for that. And I think if you make a reservation, you have 15 minutes to get in. Otherwise, when you scan your card, it won't allow you in. But what you
Wow.
can do then is you just make a new appointment. You just
Okay.
right there, you
Right.
make a new appointment of what, 10 minutes or 15 minutes, then you can enter. Or
Yeah.
one of them will check your reservation, and then they will allow you in. And
Yeah.
also, I think before we thought you could only do 60 minutes max, but
Yeah.
apparently you can do 90 minutes, so it's 1.5 hour, and you can even
Okay.
do 2 hours, if that fits. And there is almost, you can, yeah, there's always, let's say, room, because I've
Mm.
checked, I go through the app and I check, okay, which times are, let's say, closed.
Yeah.
But I could rarely find one that is maybe it's because of the basic fit I go to. Maybe it's that one is not that crowded.
Yeah, that I
Um,
think that's it. I think
but
that's
it's
it.
it's good. It's people
It's
can
it's
still
all
do their
right.
workouts every day. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been
Okay.
going.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Well, that sets me for I'm cool now. I think that maybe in this week or the next week I could just work out. Well, I think that before the lockdown became total, Basic Fit did quite well. Where they set some type of boundaries as in terms of how you want to work out and things. Some distance. So I think it's cool. And the one in my area is not as crowded. So I think
Okay.
that's pretty much fine. Well, let's look at what's been going on in our world. Beside the whole, I think every world is now like shook because of the Will Smith and Jada. I think the world entanglement is like ever trending.
Entanglement.
Entanglement
Oh,
is ever trending at this. Did you catch any of that? Because you're not even on online too much.
actually, I've watched the
The
August
talk.
Alsino the interview with Angela Yee. I've watched the full interview.
Oh, right.
Um, yeah. I've watched where he made those claims or he made that. And hey,
To each its own.
speaking of speak. Actually, I specifically speaking on Will Smith and Jada Love, and I mean
Yeah.
this is a topic we can discuss some other day where we can really dive into it. But that is love. The love Will Smith has for Jada Pinkett Smith. That's love.
Really?
Where when he made the statement, I gave you the space to find what makes you happy because I love you.
Right.
Whatever it was, that's when she had that entanglement with Augustus. Fine. And after that, he still accept because that's unconditional love, where you want the happiness for the other one and you give by love, not no, you do that, you cheating. So because people thinking he's doing something wrong, but hey, if that's not the love you have for someone, then I don't know what else is. Is it, but yeah, that's love. That's all I can say. And but there are many perspectives where you can let's say from all angles from which you can discuss this. From August Alsino's
Right.
side, was he really hurt? Because he literally and I gave my all to this. Oh man, that boy is emotional. That boy is he's sensitive. He's passionate. When I watched this interview, a beautiful human being too. And he means well.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. This is not.
and
This is not where your psychological knowledge comes to part, right?
exactly, exactly. And he means well. But hey, Jada is also fine. Jada is a good woman. I can tell you that. Whatever it is, however things may have looked, or people may see Jada like I've been seeing those memes where they like give her to the streets, or she belongs to the street.
Yeah. They're making. Listen. What they call Black Twitter now. They are really, really
Oh, Black Twitter.
creative. They're really creative. I've shared some laughs, and really what they're also doing with the the word entanglement. I know it's
Oh yeah.
probably the ever trending. I should check Twitter and see that word is going to be trending for the upcoming upcoming weeks. That's what I expect. But you're
Oh yeah.
right. That goes for a whole another conversation. Let's talk about what's been going on in Africa, and this is one interesting one because we all know China has been on the topic for weeks and weeks and weeks. If it not been COVID, then it's how they treat Africans and whatever. And
Or
we all know,
TikTok.
or TikTok,
Did you hear
right?
about it?
Right. What did anything happen?
No, they're trying to ban TikTok from the states.
Is it?
Yeah, no, because TikTok is owned by a Chinese corporation. TikTok is a
Right.
it's a Chinese app by Dance Byte or something like that. Yeah,
Hmm.
which is a Chinese corporation. And actually, within the app itself, and this is when apps became started to become very popular via gamings and stuff 15
Yeah.
years ago, they were already
Yeah.
having conversations. Apps, they how do you say it? They go beyond the boundaries, or because sometimes you have to allow certain things that the
Yeah.
app can do,
Yeah.
but most of the apps actually navigate through those settings, and they can actually, yeah, read your phone.
Yeah.
So the USA saying, hey, being that TikTok is so popular in the States, and it's a Chinese government,
Yeah.
and Chinese company, and Chinese companies are partly owned by the Chinese government, especially the
Right.
big,
Yeah.
big, large companies.
Yeah.
So they're saying, hey, now China has a way into their demography of the
Hmm.
states, and actually the world's demography, and can mingle with the elections and do other stuff. But
Right.
that's all when it comes to this. And this
And
is why I said to that. I was like, okay, their problem, the problem the world is having now is
hmm.
just the fact that it's a Chinese company that owns TikTok,
Yeah.
right? But if it's let's say Tinder or whatnot, and that's owned by a European nation, or the European country, or by the states, then
Yeah.
all of a sudden there's no problem. Meanwhile, they still have the same rights, and they can also do the same damage, or have same opportunities
Hmm.
into our phones. We don't
Yeah.
talk about that, but now it's China, and now we have a problem with it. So that also shows a kind of like double
Wow.
standard or hypocrisy there.
It
But yeah,
does.
that's been going on. That's big too in the States.
It does
So,
because TikTok is going head to head with Instagram, as in terms of user, well, user group. It's growing really, 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 really fast. And I know that okay, in China, they've obviously the app has been popular there for a longer run. They're even at a more further stage where the app is being used to purchase items, as in like a
oh,
kind of AliExpress. They're really to that
oh,
stage. Yeah,
wow.
yeah. People use items, so it's like in that order where you see images or videos, and you can just tap on people's items and things, and you could be, linked to wherever it's
Purchasing.
it's purchased.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're really like at this advanced stage. So it's going to be pretty interesting how that is going to use, because now that US has been using it since the last, let's say, 6 months, it's been taking over the world, and even to even Ghana influencers are like
TikTok.
using it, and
Yeah.
you can see they push money into it, because the way that at some point a group of Ghanaian influencers and Nigerian influencers were posting, you could just see, okay, they got some money to be actively pushing this app forward, you know. So it's this Generation Z app, and people are really into it, especially the young ones. I have purposely not opened an account. Have you tried it?
Mm. No, and apparently, according to Paul, um, the two groups that use TikTok the most, which is something I've heard. I have to double check if that's true. Are so young girls
Right.
and old men.
Hmm.
That's not a good combination.
Young girls and old
So
men.
little girls
Hmm.
and old men make use of TikTok the most, because little
Old
girls
men.
post for the fun, and you have old men perverts who sit there and watch these videos.
All right.
It's it's so insane. But hey, you blame the app for this? No, you cannot blame the app
You
for this.
cannot. No.
No, right? But it's happening. But they've according to the the source that I had, yeah, these are the two main demographics. Like people in our age group or even parents are not
Mm-hmm.
really on the why because they have a life to to be taken care of. But
Right.
there's those young girls who just are looking for entertainment. And actually, boys spend more time behind their PlayStation. Well, once PlayStation 5 came out and stuff, than actually
Yeah.
on TikTok. So it kind of like makes sense who has a motivation to go on TikTok and hey, and the
I
number
yeah.
one TikTok star is what's her name? I think you might have seen her, but is this 19-year-old girl, and she became number one even when she was 16 or 17 already. But yeah, she's just 18 or 19 and like a young girl. But hey, that's TikTok.
Yeah, it's definitely that 1920 generation, uh that group that
And
is so into it.
younger.
And
Yeah,
younger,
younger
yeah,
actually.
yeah. Probably and there's also a psychological aspect to it because I teach digital marketing and social media
Mm,
management, and there is actually an aspect of why particular social media platforms are working, what type of behavior and what's it called, demand, desire that it
mm-hmm.
fulfills, so there's really an interesting theory behind why TikTok is really working the way it does. But anyway, that was just that was just by the way, as if we were talking about China. There is an
Definitely.
interesting interesting happening, and that's really happening on the continent. And it seems that China has found a home in Africa, and many Chinese workers troop into countries in all the four sub-Saharan regions to engage in construction and mining work, which we all know, and their migration is part of agreements with African governments to allow the Chinese to build infrastructure and develop the continent while deepening bilateral relations. However, the relations have gone beyond governments as the Chinese workers, who are temporary migrants, sow their seeds in African soil by fathering unwanted children with young African women and girls who have no means to fend for them. So it seems that for instance, mining towns in Ghana, communities around the Kamra Dam construction site in Uganda, and the Thika Road construction site in Kenya, among many other communities around the continent, have hundreds of Chinese looking babies of African women and girls without fathers. Whoa. So there is this BBC Pigeon documentary that was came out that came out in April, and it revealed that many young women were struggling to take care of their mixed race children left behind by Chinese illegal miners in Dunhua in the central region. And about 4,500 Chinese miners were in this area until the government cracked down in 2013 against illegal mining activities that were destroying river bodies and vegetation. However, the children were most affected as they faced stigmatization while their mothers were ridiculed in their poor communities. Have you ever heard of this?
No, I haven't.
This is
Thank you for bringing
crazy.
that up.
This is yeah. So when I read about it, I was like, wow. And one thing it made me think, right, whenever I think history will probably point out that whenever a certain group migrates, there was always some small percentage, whether that be great or small, anyway, where there is some type of um, what's the right word for it? Expansion, family expansion, or multiplication, if I can call it like that, happening. But leaving them with unwanted kids makes me think: Is this are Chinese to Africans? Are Chinese starting to have this dark image at the moment? This is the type of questions that come to my mind.
What do you mean dark image? What's dark? Dark in the
As
sense of
as this
evil or
negative,
dark as
yeah,
in negative?
yeah,
Oh,
exactly. That is really what I am thinking. Because
mm,
one-sided, people are afraid because of the colonial history. China is really, as it putting their claws on the African continent. Is their some type of hidden agenda that again Africans are going to be trapped by. And then we have these type of stories, and then also the part where Africans or a group of Africans in a particular part in China were quote unquote persecuted because they, let's just say, people suspected that they still had COVID-19. They weren't tested, and they were this group that carried the virus with them.
Mm.
As in you being somewhat, because I see you're gradually becoming a psychological expert, or somewhat, trying to tend to bring some connection between why we do stuff the way we do. What is your take on this?
Oh, well, hey, it's not that, let's say, let me put it this way, it's not that deep, really.
Why
Um,
not?
according to the pyramid of Maslow, procreating, so having sex, is a basic need. It's a fundamental. It's a primary
Mm.
need for human beings, especially when you have a social, when you live in a community. You put Chinese people in whatever village and you put blacks around them, someone is going to have sex with someone.
Okay,
Can we say sex on the show? No, just
you can. You
someone's going
always
to have
offer
sex.
an interesting perspective.
Someone's going to have that it's going to happen. So I'm not even surprised. I mean, during slavery, the slave master had sex with the slaves,
Hmm.
right? So within a community like this, unless I can't say, or I can't tell whether the miners were living amongst the villagers or in the
Right.
town, or did they have was there a space or a place, um ac- yeah, like allocated to only miners, or and where they created their own, let's say, Chinatown, and then they stayed there.
Hmm.
I don't think so. I actually think they got to mingle with the locals. And
Yeah.
whenever you mingle with locals, and I'm not alluding to the fact that it's maybe voluntarily from both parts, because
Hmm.
maybe some of them were um took place.
Yeah.
But hey, that happens when you have left and you have a right, and they meet each other. Sometimes
Hmm.
it's good, sometimes it's not good, but
Hmm.
they are going to cross paths. It's going to
Hmm.
happen, and it happened
Right.
fine. The Chinese miners didn't intend on staying there. Maybe they intended on, hey, I like Ghana, I'm here to stay, so I'm
No,
gonna
they
find me
didn't.
a Ghanaian.
They fled, and
Right.
that's
So hit and run. It
yeah.
happens.
You
Or they
you
were
bring
just there for a good time.
you really bring a hardcore perspective on this, man. Gosh, it deserves a whole a whole different type of conversation. But you bring an interesting perspective. Really
Yeah,
interesting.
that's how I
Thanks for
see
that,
it.
Donny. Thanks for that.
That's my view. Thank you.
For all of you who just tuned in, welcome to Africa Unfocused here on High Radio, and we come back to you every Sunday. This lockdown specials, as I would call it, brings us, where we tune in from home. Obviously, COVID-19 has brought us some unexpected, an unexpected setting. And also, in the meantime, the studio is moving elsewhere, so we've taken it upon ourselves to tune in from home. And as you were tuning in, I just want to give a shout out to a few that have taken out their time to listen to the show wherever they are in the world. First, I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Paul Grave, who has been one of our special guests, a returning special guest, who is also tuning in from Ghana. And also a shout out to Crystal Owusu, and also want to give a shout out to Patrick. Patrick is one. He's a conscious. Let me just say, I have a few of like conscious Africans that like to share history and all of those things. Patrick Owusu, shout out to you, and thank you for liking the video, and also Panfred Bafo, who takes the time out to listen to our video. If you are listening, feel free to share on your timeline, because today we have an interesting topic that we are talking about. We are talking about our health. And a couple of weeks ago, we had a special guest here on the show who's a doctor herself, and who took the time out to advise us on what to do when it comes to our health, what to watch, and also surrounding this COVID-19. She was also with us to make sure that we have all the truths, the facts laid out, and all the myths evaporated, just like through Nigerians would say. And she goes by the name of Dr. Sabine Fonderson. I'm going to invite her to come on board since we have some time. So hopefully we get to find out what has been the latest updates for her, and of course what she could share with us to make sure that our health is really on its right course. Let's welcome her, and also wherever you are. Let me know where you're listening from. I really would like to know. And welcome Dr. Sabine Fonderson with us as we get to talk to her. Let's get on board. Hello, Dr. Sabine. How are you?
Can't
Great.
hear you.
Yes,
Can't
my
hear. Hey.
microphone.
They had to press the unmute button.
Unmute, yes. How are you?
I am good. I'm really good. Having a relaxing Sunday. It's like 8:30 and the sun is still out. How about
I know,
that?
great.
Really, really giving some good summer vibes. How was
Yeah,
your Sunday?
busy, just really busy. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're
So
now
I
on at the office, right? I hope it's due to work reason. Did we bring you to the office?
Oh no, no, I'm actually running late. I was supposed to be here a while ago, but yeah, it's been one of those days.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good to have you back
Yeah.
on the show. You know that last time we had our first meetup with you, getting to know you as a doctor. Hello Doc has been this mobile
Mhm.
platform, the go-to for people that need a doctor to talk to on their phones. And second time around, you also came to talk to us about some of the things or the facts, myths, truths surrounding COVID-19, which is also very relevant.
Yeah.
Because I think by then we were convinced that Black people couldn't get it. I think so. It's really good to have you back. And yeah, first I really like to know how have you been? How what have been some of the developments regarding Hello Doc?
No, it's been really busy. We've grown the team now to quite a lot. I think, yeah, we're about 12 now, and it's just been insane. I One of the things that I love about Hello Doc is that everybody on our team is able to really show their own strength. So we
Yeah,
use people's skills, and and I'm pretty proud of the way that everybody's been able to vocalize what they're very good at doing. And when they tell me this, then I said, okay, great, then you can definitely do this. And I think it's something that a lot of companies, or at least I've worked in a lot of companies, and that's not appreciated. If you happen to have a skill, a lot of times your skill goes underdeveloped in companies,
yeah,
because employers and bosses don't recognize that a team or work is about empowering you, also to teach you new skills, but also to help you develop your other ones. So I have a team of amazing people, and we really share a common goal, and that's to really service those who need medical advice. And once we have our common goal in line and everybody's able to tap on their own skill, then you really see the way that Hello Doc really functions really well.
yeah,
So in the last couple of months, we've done great things, and so much so that we've been mentioned in a few newspapers, and I've been nominated for an award, which is really nice. It's called the Libella Ster Award. So Libella is a pretty well known
Mhm.
magazine for women here in the Netherlands. So I'll be featuring on there as one of the candidates of women who've done amazing things in times of Corona. So it was pretty nice to be nominated for that.
Amazing.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Wow. That is really that's really good.
Yeah,
Really. So
it's
what does that mean? Like what did you do to be noticed by them?
I know. So my obviously somebody that I know mentioned my name. She's called Cynthia. She owns a really nice company called Diki Damas, and so she helps women to get into the digital world. And it's an amazing concept. And she's just a fantastic lady. So she was nominated last year for the same type of award. Obviously, there was no corona then, but the magazine itself nominates every year 10 women in the Netherlands who've done exceptional things with their startup, with their business. And
Yeah.
and so I think she dropped my name, and obviously they get a lot of candidates that they have to screen. So one day I got a phone call, and I was in the car as usual, rushing to go somewhere,
Yeah.
and then she told me about this lady told me that she's calling from Libel, and my name came up, and they looked at my website, they looked at my profile, and they figured that I would be the right candidate for that.
Right.
So I got a few questions, and then the funny thing is that she was more basically kind of doing a screening, and she said, I'll call you next week, and then I'll do the proper interview, but I just wanted to find out whether or not you're available on Saturday. So she called me on a Wednesday, and she asked me if
Yeah.
I was available on Saturday to do a photo shoot. And I'm thinking, a photo shoot, okay? Saturday's my birthday. I was like, sure, it would be a great, present for myself. And
Right.
then she asked me, okay, so what's your shoe size? And I told her my shoe size. She's like, and what's your dress size? And I lied. I just lied. I was just like, I was just caught off guard. I was like, extra small. I'm not extra small. I was like, no, I felt so bad. And then I realized that Corona has done this. Because of Corona, I haven't gone out to the gym as I used to, and I put on. I have stacked some weight, and I'm just like, how could I tell her that I'm small when I'm no longer small?
Slim fast.
And then so she called me, no, actually a day later she said the shoot is no longer on Saturday. So I thought, oh phew, how was I going to lose all these kilos in 2 days,
Right.
My diet was going to consist of water and ice, so I thought, okay, good, I have some more time. And so the shoot is on this coming Saturday. And since then I've been going to the gym, so hopefully i'll be able to
Right.
squeeze I'll be able to squeeze my size small again.
Right, right, right. So you haven't told them like, listen, it should be rather an S or something like that.
It's one of those lies that it just comes out, and you feel so embarrassed to go back. You're like, no, I'm
No,
I'm just
yeah.
not, I'm just not
Nice
gonna
to live
eat. I'm
up
not
to
gonna
it.
eat for 2 weeks. I'm just gonna stop eating.
Okay,
That's
so how did you celebrate your birthday then? Like, what did you do? Was it last week?
It was 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
Thank
two
you.
weeks ago. Happy belated.
happy belated
Um,
birthday.
Thank you so much. I celebrated with friends and family. It was really beautiful. So yeah. Uh-huh.
All is good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks for asking. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting when you're caught off guard, right? And then you just say something, whatever comes up, and it's really
Yeah.
hard to go back. But it was a little innocent lie, and I thought I have time to to catch up. But I think it's
Yeah.
also important to realize that I feel very blessed to be even recognized for this, because I got to the point in my life where when I was doing Hello Doc, everybody always asked me, so what's your business model? How are you making money? And it was always a hard question to answer, not because it's a startup, it's a company, but I also felt like I'm giving medical advice. I'm helping people. I'm a doctor from nature. So my first thought is not to do it for the money. And during Corona, we decided to give off a lot of consultations for free, because we felt like a lot of people needed it, and I'm glad that we did, because we were really able to change lives. And one of the stories, one of the case studies comes up on the Libella article. So that's really good, and I think that people need to also understand how much we have done and why we do it. It's really because we want to help people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great. Because I've also been following you on LinkedIn. I see this more as a social media presence where
Yeah.
I saw this video where you tuned in with all of your doctors as in terms of what were you going to do for the day. You also shared a promo where you actually visit somebody at home
Yeah,
for checkup,
yes,
and I really loved seeing that, you know. And
yeah,
has it changed as in terms of people that use the platform? Because I know initially you shared that it was rather for the health professionals,
yeah,
basically. And
yeah,
now I have a sense of where the average person even calls you or uh,
yeah.
goes on the app, isn't it?
Yeah, so I mean, we've always been Holodoc has always been for the average person. What we did is that we wanted to facilitate doctors also to come on board and
Yeah,
to join, and we've had a lot of doctors join our team. At the moment, excuse me, at the moment, we have 8 doctors and 4 students that work with us. And together, all of us, we speak over 12 languages. So it's something that's really nice that we can really work on our diversity, strengthen ourselves in the sense that, and just like, I'll give you an example. Yesterday in the morning, I had a client who contacted me, and I do consultations now only on the weekends because during the week I'm too busy.
right.
So she contacted me and she explained what was the issue, but she's also from Turkey. So I said to her, "Would you want me to connect you with one of our Turkish-speaking doctors?" She thought it was great because I still believe fundamentally healthcare is such a complex, concept. And if
Right.
you're
Yeah.
sick, you want to be able to talk to somebody about what you're feeling who understands you. You don't have to like look
Right.
at Google. You don't have to find other words. And we got into talking about mental health issue, and mental health issues are very, very. I mean, yeah, it's extremely sensitive, and I don't want to say something that might upset her, and so that's why I offered her the opportunity to speak to one of our Turkish-speaking doctors, so that they can communicate in a way that she feels, much more comfortable, and it's her mother
Right.
tongue.
Yeah,
So yeah, so those are one of the examples of the things that we're doing. We're branching out into different markets. The second market that we've tapped into is actually doing home visits, and we're also doing blood collection. So we've actually partnered with like the biggest blood laboratory in the Netherlands, and so we do, I would say, about 80% of all their blood collection. Now the good side about that is that we get to see people face to face, so they get to know who Hello Doc is. So Hello Doc is going to become like a household name very soon. That's what I say to most
claim
people.
it.
Yeah, and the second thing is that a lot of the times people can now they can circumvent their GPs and have blood tests done, which I think is a good thing to a certain point, especially for those who just want to know a little bit more about their bodies. And
Right.
the third good thing about it is that those people, those clients can come to Hello Doc, and we then can talk to them about their results. And one of the things I do is I say, look, you want to discuss your results, that's fine. I will explain to you what these results are. But I also
Yeah,
say to them, typically, you need to just go back to your GP. If you want other tests done, I explain to them what words and how they should approach that conversation with their GP. So my role is basically like, you know how you have a dog whisperer? I'm like a patient whisperer, right? So
right.
I try and give patients that confidence and that knowledge. Okay, now they know what to do, how to say it to their specialist, just so that they get a little bit more out of their treatment.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You really think of informing people like all all round, as in terms of what to do, having somebody come into your house and everything. So how has that going to people's house been this period? I mean, COVID-19 actually tells us to stay indoors and keep out of touch with people.
Yeah.
How's that been?
Well, most of the people who've been going to the homes of students. So there was a short period of training that I gave them, and then we make sure that they have masks, gloves, they have all the protective gear. But the good
Right.
thing is that before they go into people's homes, we also make sure that we screen them. So on the phone, we ask them the necessary questions, whether they have cough and fever, and if they
Yeah.
do, then obviously we wouldn't send anybody there. And 99% of our clients are healthy, so these are just people who are typically healthy, and they just want to know, hey, is there anything wrong with me? Do I need to check my cholesterol? Like, the other day I heard that somebody had this, maybe I want to check it out. But the 1% of people that we really help is, for example, during the lockdown, there was a particular client who wasn't able to go to see his GP, and he called 3 times. But actually, I only found out later when I spoke to him that he never actually got to speak to his GP. He only spoke to the assistant, and the assistant basically told him, because you have fever and a cough, you have to stay home. So he booked a consultation, not with me, but with one of my other doctors. And she called me that evening and said, Sabine, I'm really worried about this client of ours. So I read her notes and I said, wow, this is, I'm worried too. The guy was having fever every day. He had lost weight, and he had a lymph node that was swollen in his neck. And any of those things, those are alarm bells for us, right? So I remember ordering some blood tests for him. So one of our, we went to his place, all in gear. We got bloods out, and then he turns out to be really sick. So I called him and I said, okay, this is what I want you to do. On Monday, you're going to call back your GP and you're going to tell him that I am not well and I do not want to speak to the assistant. I want to speak to my GP, and I really need to go to the hospital because these are my results and I'm not feeling well. And I got this advice from another doctor. So we talked for about an hour, and I informed him about what I thought he had and why it was important for him to really go to the hospital. And on Monday morning, I texted him and he didn't respond. And I thought something said to me, I don't know what's going on. In the evening, he said, thank you so much. I did as you said. I'm now in hospital. I'm getting more tests done. And last week, he wrote back to me and he actually has tuberculosis and he's being treated in hospital. So I'm serious. One thing I said about Corona is that people are going to think that because you have fever and a cough, you have to stay home and not get help. I'm sorry. I am against that. I'm totally against that. So although the healthcare system here is fantastic, you cannot tell people to just stay at home and stick it off because you haven't seen them. And that's the good thing about Hello Dog. We at least get to see them by video, and we take a really good history and we really go into the depth. Because if it was just another gut person, maybe they would have just thought, oh, you have a fever and cough, sweat it out and you'll be fine. But we actually found out what this guy had, and we got him the help that he needed. So again, this is one of the reasons why I'm really happy that we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, that's good news. That's really wonderful.
Yeah, that's
And
fantastic.
I love how you are able to be able to go like, how do you call it? The loopholes of our system,
Yeah.
be able to service people for that. I think that's really good. I think that's really good.
And
That's
that's a good thing you said. I do understand the system here pretty well, and I know
yeah,
exactly the networks. I can pretty much get into a lot of places and get people the information that they need. I only do that not to abuse it. I only do that to empower you. So it will never be done to abuse. I mean, I've had clients who've done blood tests, and they've done all blood tests you can imagine. And I think she was looking for like confirmation for more blood tests, and I just said, I'm sorry, I can't confirm that. I think what you have is unfortunate, but there's nothing else that can be done. So I'm
yeah,
not here either to just give people their way. I'm really here to help and empower you and make sure that you get the treatment that you need.
yeah, yeah. That's a really good one. So far as you've been running things, I'm just wondering what are some of the myths or maybe the crazy assumptions that people might have had surrounding this COVID-19. I'm keen to learn more about that.
Yeah, I mean, when we started in the early 2020, thinking that it only affects old people, well, that myth has been blown out. We
Yeah,
know that it affects all age groups. Unfortunately, now we're seeing quite a lot of young people
yeah,
without any past medical history, and the fact that in countries like in America, like in England, well, at least those information have been documented. We see that migrants or people of color are disproportionately affected with corona. Why
yeah,
that is, I think there's a lot of reasons. I personally think it has to do with the socioeconomic standards that they live in. You would also you might agree that people of color in these regions typically come from much lesser well-developed areas, so they will have more comorbidities and they will have a lack of healthcare, full stop. But in the Netherlands,
yeah,
unfortunately, that data is not out, and because they don't document the rates of patients in the Netherlands. So I would be really interested to know whether or not in the Netherlands we are facing also this disproportionate level of corona infections. And in my situation, the people that I've seen with corona, sometimes you would think to yourself, this person definitely has it, right? So I remember going to see a patient in their home. I went in full gear. I listened to his lungs. I'm like, corona. I just looking at him. I just thought, you have corona. I called the hospital. I'm like, yep, it's corona. I didn't even have to say anything else. The ambulance came. They're like, corona. I'm like, yep, corona. Everybody knew it was corona. They put him in the ambulance. They took him to hospital. Everything happened, and the guy did not test positive for corona. So sometimes we are completely shocked. And another time, I had another patient, and I went there, no gear, nothing, and yeah, they tested positive for corona a week later. I was like, okay, I'm confused. I am so confused. So this condition is not easy as people think that it is, in terms of you have
Right.
to have those symptoms. Those symptoms, yes, there are guidelines. They help you, maybe determine the severity of your of your case. But
Yeah.
I've had people who have done tests, and they wanted to determine the antibodies, and they were really sick. They're like, yeah, my doctor told me I had corona. I know I have corona. And we test them for antibodies, zero, nada. And they're confused.
Oh,
They're totally confused. So it's been like a up and down emotional roller coaster for a lot of people. And that's why I want to say that corona in itself is not something to mess about. Please, even if you think you don't have the symptoms, keep your distance still. You might be asymptomatic and still carry the condition and pass it to other people who are unfortunately have comorbidities. And the second thing is that when the people that I have seen with corona who have recovered, unfortunately, and what I mean by recovering is getting out of hospitals or recovering from home, they have long lasting effects. I am not kidding you. Every single person I know who tested positive and was sick, they are still struggling. They still have chest problems, they fatigue, they have, some of them have memory loss. It takes a while to get into the rehabilitation and actually recover. So a lot of
Wow.
people are thinking, oh, I want to get corona because if I test positive, then I'm going to make antibodies and then I won't be sick again. No, no, that's a myth. If
I
you
actually
want to
thought
get
I already have had corona, and
you
I'm now
did.
immune to it. That's why I thought.
Yeah. Well,
But
there
how
was
you
no
just
evidence.
explained corona, well, that wasn't corona at all.
No, it wasn't. And the things is that there is no evidence that even if you have built immunity to it, a second infection
Yeah.
will not be worse. There's no
Yes,
evidence.
true.
So a lot of people are out there thinking, "Oh, let me get it, so I have something." If you get corona, trust me, from the people I've seen, they are still struggling to get back to their normal day-to-day lives again. They have, some of them I've actually seen physically age in front of me. So it's not a
Oh,
joke. It really
wow.
isn't.
But
Yeah.
and to what extent is, because corona is, well, they say the virus is still mutating, yeah. Um, how has it mutated, and yeah, to what extent is it still changing, still mutating, or the effects of it? Is it becoming more severe? Is it becoming less severe? Is it attacking more, let's say, those with or preconditions, or how's that mutation, like specifically on the mutation of the virus? Because they say it isn't as it was before, in its initial stages. That's what they're
Yeah,
saying. But
yeah,
so where is it now, and where can it actually go? How severe can it really become?
yeah. That's a good question. So, in terms of the mutation of the virus, it's not my field, so I haven't studied up on the virology of this particular condition. I think what they're trying to say is that because we were talking, a few months ago about flattening the curve, if we stay indoors, if we, keep to social distancing, and then the virus will, disseminate into, the wilderness and then disappear, and it hasn't. And I think that's what they're trying to say, is that this
Mm,
virus is a little bit stronger than they had anticipated. Meaning, and you've seen it, a few states in America, they opened up their,
the
the
borders.
bars, and they opened up
Okay.
everything, the jobs again. And 2 weeks later, they're back into lockdown because unfortunately, this virus is not going to go anywhere. And I think that's probably one of the things
Yeah.
that are shocking a lot of scientists, is that okay, we can talk about mutation, but we don't know where it's going to mutate to. Even in some certain countries now, where they they said okay, we're gonna relax the conditions. Look what happened in Australia, in New Zealand. They had like very minimal cases. I think they had gone down to single digits, and then
Yeah.
they had to shut the borders again because it started to climb up because of one or two. I think two people entered the country and they started spreading. So this is not a joke. The only reason why we don't know much about it, I think it's because of the rapid spread and the varying degrees of symptoms. So, like I said, you have people who don't have symptoms but are positive, and you have people who have symptoms and are negative, and it looks like that. And it's very strange. It's a very strange thing that is happening.
Yeah. And you just brought it into perspective, like how crazy this can be. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think Donnie, you had a question at the part where she talked about the symptoms of COVID-19. I think I heard you
Well,
wanted to
I
say
was
something.
no, no, that was it.
Okay, so
I'm thinking about something else in relating to this
all right.
corona. More about more about the healthcare system. But maybe we'll touch on that in a bit. Or can I ask that the one now?
Yeah, definitely. We're almost rounding up to like the civic in 10 minutes. So feel free.
Well, so you did say, let's say, especially in the states, yeah, it's because of the healthcare system, but that has to do, let's say, with the victims of coronavirus has to do with their socio-economic position. That's why they're the victims. Here in the Netherlands, even though we have a strong and a good and a secured healthcare system, things are still okay. I mean, it's not. I haven't heard, uh, 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 let's say, like it's going beyond the expectations of the experts. So things are okay. They were for some time. They were struggling when it as pertains to having the equipment for the facilities for the care rooms and for the hospitals and stuff. But I think now the supplies are in. But the only thing that happened the other day was I think the unions from the healthcare sector asked for a raise for the nurses or for the entire healthcare sector, and it got declined. And I think this has this has a lot to do with the way the healthcare system is set up and its financial component that is kind of like not even allowing these people to be remunerated or compensated financially for the risk that they are taking in this pandemic, which I find absurd. But maybe you can kind of like discuss that a bit. That hey, that's the Netherlands, that's the Dutch. They won't give you anything even if you risk your life forward. But yeah, how should people feel with this within the sector where even
Well, that's such a good question. I think the medical sector in itself has from dating back for a long time. It's always felt like you're doing this out of your will. It's a gift that you have, and being a doctor, it shouldn't be about any financial incentive because you do it because you want to help people. Remember, I started the whole thing about Hello Doc is there to help people, and even speaking about a business model, something that's quite hard for me to do.
Yeah.
So I think that this is a very sensitive issue. Number one, yes, health professionals have been felt like they've been let down by the government in terms of securing, making sure that they're safe and secure. In the beginning, there was a lot of uh, you know uncertainty about wearing protection, wearing masks, and then they
Yeah.
finally did say everybody has to do it, but then it wasn't available. But then if you're telling people you should wear protective gear, then supply it,
Right.
and don't start telling some people can and some people can't. And I think that's where a lot of the disgruntledness started coming into. What I do know is that yes, they have been out there really fighting and making sure that people are safe. They've been, working overtime and even overtime. And for them to be compensated for that work, I think it's very, very a good thing that they should be asking for.
Right.
Simply
Seems fair.
because it's a fair thing. I agree. I think it is. A lot of them have left their homes because they didn't want to be with their family and friends, so that they don't put anybody else into danger. I don't know if they got compensated for maybe renting out another place, or just the emotional baggage and damage and setback that you have from that. I think if they wanted just some kind of compensation, they should it should be at least honored. I believe it should be.
Mhm.
Because people do really work hard, and unfortunately, people have lost their lives. And when you lose your life in a situation like this, or family or friend of yours loses their lives in a fight for a disease like a pandemic, there usually is something that you get back from the government in terms of compensation. So I think it's a very valid thing. Now I know a lot of people are angry about it because they say, well, it's your job, so why are you asking for money? Well, I have troubles with that, because when you see a top CEO of a bank getting fired and they leave with millions in the bank, I'm sorry, but if that CEO of a bank actually caused the bank's destruction and other people to lose their homes or to lose their savings, why are we compensating that person and not somebody who works day and night to save lives? So this is where I say it should definitely be answered, and the government absolutely should step up and do what they're supposed to do and protect the people. And those people are the ones fighting hard to make people feel safe.
Yeah. I love that. So when do you get to do all this? Because I know you're working. You know, you have your work, and then you do that. How is your schedule like? Like,
My schedule is really busy. I do like shifts of so I work every day from Mondays to Friday, and then usually I would take one day where I would probably like be awake for 24 hours, and then to try and just squeeze everything in, and then I would try and sleep it off on a Saturday or Sunday. But yeah, my schedule's busy. Yeah. I when I'm working at the practice, which is what I do full time because I'm a GP in training. I tend during the Mondays to Friday, I don't take any consultations for Hello Doc. My doctors do that, so that I can get some rest, because it's quite intense.
yeah,
And then so typically I would probably my Thursday nights I typically would do a 24-hour shift for myself, just to catch up on all the other things that I need to do. And I'm also do my
right.
research. So today is going to be one of those 24 hours long haul. Yeah.
Wow. So you have a lot of work on your hands. We can definitely say that. Well, just before we can wrap it up, so that we leave you, you could get back to work. In the meantime, for those of you who tuned in, we're having a conversation with Dr. Sabine Fonderson, and I have her on the show, many more times to really talk about some of the important things, especially when it comes to our health, so that we can understand how to manage this craziness, especially surrounding COVID-19, and to maintain our health in general. Dr. Sabine, before we even round it up so that you could go on to your work, we just want to know, so is the platform now accessible to any individual who needs a GP? How does it work? And how does it also work with your consultation, as in terms of the blood tests? Do you even have a connection to the what's it called, the document, the archives, the files of the patient that in the GPs have of people? How does that work? So how can people access you, and how does your consultation work, and how is it added to the whole journey of one being not admitted to the hospital, but actually getting the care that he or she should have.
Should have. No, that's a good question. So the platform of Hello Doc is on a secure platform. So
Yeah,
everything we do consultations through a third party platform who obviously I sourced out very well to make sure that all the details are kept private and secure. And
yeah,
I'm pretty strict about that. So even when people sign up, the whole signing up process at Hello Doc is not easy. Okay, let me just say that. You have to click a few times, you have to
right.
register, and you have to every time you want to speak to a doctor you have to go on that platform. Now there's an app you can download to make it easier.
Yeah,
However, I stress that it's really important to do that because I'm serious about patient details and
yeah,
private information.
yeah,
So people, anybody can access us. If you just go to hellodoc.nl, you will see if you want to speak to a GP, it will take you to the platform where you then have to register, and then
yeah,
you can speak to one of us. Oh yeah, that's that. There's another thing that we do. We do home visits, and if you want a home visit, that's fine. Those are usually done for things like travel certificates, health checks, and also for those that I feel are quite ill and just but maybe not yet going to a GP or to a hospital, but they feel comfortable with me or one of my doctors seeing them at home. And when we do home visits, we always do a full blood check. I mean, blood pressure check. We measure temperature. We listen to your heart. Listen to your lungs. So we do a checkup. And if there's any things that we can do for like rapid tests, we can do that. But again, I now that we've actually merged with a lab company, we can just take
yeah,
your blood, collect your blood, and then send that off to be tested, which is much more reliable and
yeah,
trustworthy. Now, the blood
yeah,
collection is amazing because you don't need to go through your doctor. You can just really go click off a button, go on the website, order the test that you want. Again, with
yeah,
precaution, I do stress to people be careful what you order because you don't need to order everything. And
yeah,
what we've had actually a few times, people have actually contacted me and said, "Well, I'm actually suffering from this. I was wondering, do you have any ideas what I should, if I should do any blood tests?" So
yeah,
I always say to them, I can give you advice, but always make sure that you speak to your GP about it. And
yeah,
typically they do. So I'm very happy to be that middle person to let them have a good conversation with their GP because
yeah.
I'm going to be very soon. I'll be certified as a GP myself. Um,
Wow.
so Hello Doc is a concept now. In about 4 years, when I'm done, it will be a fully run GP practice. Only it will be run in the cloud, and there's only a few locations that we have now in the Netherlands, and those are for people who want to come to our locations for blood
Yeah,
collection. So, and
wow.
that's what we basically do. So those are the three main activities: online
Yeah,
consultations, home visits, and blood collections and blood tests. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
That's
us.
awesome. Yeah, that's really good. Looks I just had to show it there. But that really
Oh,
looks
thank you. I
good.
really appreciate that. That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
consultations are typically pay for them yourself, but we do
yeah,
have a partnership with AON, which is an insurance company for medical for students. Sorry, I said medical, but for all students in the Netherlands, if they are insured with AON, then
yeah.
their claims are reimbursed. So they don't need to pay Hello Doc. It's all taken care of. And
Right.
so yeah, that way we make sure that we take care of those that really need it, and those are expats and international students. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And for
really
someone,
good.
and for one who's actually feeling fine and healthy, this is besides the corona pandemic. Um, is it okay and doesn't have a GP? Is it okay to request, let's say, a blood test just to check on their blood type and if everything is going right? Because they might be
Yeah.
here for only a year or 3 years and they don't really want to go through the Dutch, GP services,
Yeah,
and they just want to
absolutely.
do just a health checkup. Is that okay?
Yeah.
That's also
Yeah, we give those advice to people. If you're here and you, for example, just last week somebody needed to travel back to Cameroon, and I did a home visit, and we got some blood tests done so that he knows that he's okay to travel. And there's another lady, a client of mine, who's from India, and since the lockdown she hasn't been able to travel back to India, but she has comorbidity, she has diabetes, she's got high blood pressure. So I've ordered blood tests for her just to monitor her care while she's here. So absolutely, you can order this website is amazing. You can order anything and everything, and we are also on the website. Should you want a consultation regarding your blood test? Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
Oh,
So
so the blood test gets delivered to who gets the results first?
Yeah, so okay, so there's two ways it can happen. So you as a client can order the blood test and you get the results, and then once you get
Oh,
the results, you can book a consultation with one of the doctors from Hello Doc with me, and then I go through the results with you. But you obviously I need your permission for you to give me your results, or
of
you
course,
say
yeah.
to me, Sabine, I'm not feeling well. I would like to order this blood test. I order it for you. The results comes to me, but I share it with you. With you.
great. Well, thank you very much. Thank you so much for getting us
Welcome.
updated with whatever craziness is going on in your world, but obviously, servicing us people that need your help. And before you leave, what would you recommend people to do as in terms of upkeeping their health, especially in this interesting, quote unquote, interesting season? Africans, we believe in our ginger, in our lemon, and all kinds of other herbs and stuff. So not to put the pressure on you where people could, hold you accountable. Say, well, Dr. Sabine said this is going to cure this, but just to get some general advice that you could that we could take with us.
Well, my first advice, that's what I say to all my patients, all my clients. Your body does not lie, okay? If you do not
Mm,
feel well, listen to your body. And if that means you have to call a GP and they're not picking up, you have to call somebody else and they're not picking up, that's when we come in. We will pick up and we will listen to you, okay? So a lot of times people say, oh, no, it's nothing. It's
Yeah,
fine, it will go away. Listen to your body. That's the first thing. Now the second thing is that whilst you're listening to your body, get some exercise, okay? Even though yes, corona has given some restrictions, we are not supposed to go anywhere. I understand it's hard, but go out there, try and get exercise, because the beauty of exercise and good nutrition is so much better. And this is one of the things I was talking about. Why is it that a lot of people of color have been disproportionately
yeah,
affected by this corona? Is because of their comorbidities, like high blood pressure, like high cholesterol, like diabetes. This is not a joke. Get exercise, get good nutrition. It's going to pay off in the very short to long term future. And the third advice that I have is despite the corona thing, I have a very strong I feel very strongly for people who can't get the healthcare that they need. So never stop trying to get what you want. Although we live in a country like the Netherlands where healthcare is pretty good, it's still lacking in terms of dealing with the complexity of culture, the complexity of barriers like
yeah,
religion, like language. So just don't stop. You can get frustrated. Share your frustrations on Facebook, on social media. We're pretty much active on social media, and we always pick up a lot of things that expats and other people have written on Facebook about how they couldn't get help. And
yeah,
we are always responding. So share your stories, and especially when it comes to the Black community, please share your stories, because the data is not collected in the Netherlands regarding race. And so a lot of people think that everything is good. But if we don't have the data, we don't know what's happening. Data is being collected in other countries, so we can tell that there is a disproportionate, uh, um, uh, you know, imbalance when it
yeah,
comes to receiving proper healthcare in different communities and different social ethnic groups. But in the Netherlands, we don't know. So I
yeah,
need people to talk about it so we can start raising issues. We can start implementing better care, better standard of care. And I'll give you one example before I leave. I work as I said, in the GP practice, and I was having a shift, and a lady from the Caribbean came, and she was having this, very strange feeling on her chest. And she has, comorbidities. And it was only about 2 weeks prior that they had diagnosed her with high blood pressure, gave her medication, and told her, okay, off you go. Obviously, they get seen every so often. But like I said, I understand that culture. I understand the dynamics of, the way you talk to them. And I was telling her, you need to go to the hospital. She's like, no, I'm fine. I just want to go home and be with my husband. I'm like, you're going to the hospital. I don't even know how else to say this. You need to go to the hospital. You've had this, you've been diagnosed 2 weeks ago with high blood pressure. You're telling me that you're having this uncomfortable feeling in your chest. I don't trust it. Go to the hospital. Another person, a Dutch lady, had I said the same thing, she would have gone. And her
Yeah.
symptoms might have been understood a little bit better, because I remember telling this lady from the Caribbean, I said, this is what you're going to tell the doctors when you get there, because you're trying to make it very small, because that's what we're good at, aren't we minimize things because we like the pain. We feel like if we don't have pain, we haven't lived. you know that's what we do in
In
our
the
culture.
struggle,
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah,
It's
addicted
true.
to
it's
the
true.
struggle.
It's true. If your back is not killing you, you haven't worked. No, you've just been sitting at home all day. So I said to her, "This is what you're gonna tell the doctors when you get there, because they would not take you seriously when they ask you, do you have chest pain? You're like, it's a little bit. You'll say, I have chest pain, because that's what you're telling me now, right? You have chest pain, and it's doing this and this and this, and it's making you feel this, this, and this. That way, they know what to do. That's why my last advice to our community, and I'm talking to our African communities, please talk. Please speak up and share what you have. The more you share, the more it's going to be collected, and that's going to be enough data to actually say, okay, there's a pattern. We are only able to do things and cure diseases because of patterns. Huh? That's just science. There's a pattern. We look at it. It works great, but we don't know enough about the Black community because we don't share that kind of stuff. We need to share.
Yeah. So pain is not good. It's not.
Oh, only pain is only good if you've been at the gym like I did yesterday and I did a workout. I'm in pain. I'm in so much pain, but it's only good then when you've had a workout, because I still have to fit in that dress on the 18th. So yeah,
Right. Right. The work is serious.
yeah, exactly.
Well, Dr. Sabine, thank you so much for taking your time
Thank you.
out to
Yes.
talk to us. Obviously, in a few weeks, in a new season, I would really like to have you back to see what's
Yeah,
going on, and so that you could give us more of this type of advice. And thank you for putting things in perspective. I think this has really been, a good idea. So, okay, you don't want to have COVID-19 because people that have recovered are still in this, and also to emphasize the fact that even though we Africans, we see pain as something that pushes us, making us powerful, it's not good.
Mhm.
So
it's not good. Yeah,
on that
speak up.
note, exactly, on that note, where can people find you, contact you? Could you share with us that again?
HelloDoc.nl. My details are there. My phone number is there, so you can WhatsApp me. We now have a chat system on the website. It'll be fully integrated next week, so bear with us if it's not working. But email and WhatsApp are the fastest way you can reach me, and I will always be able to direct you to one of my assistants or the doctors, so that you
Yeah,
get the help you need.
I love that. I love that. So that is www.hellodoc.nl.
Yeah.
Make sure that you look out for that. Again, thanks so much. We'll be keeping in touch with you, and have a good, blessed evening.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
I didn't even
All
get a
right.
chance to
Cheers.
ask any questions, but I hope you're doing well, Miss Abba. Thank you, Donny,
I-
for your great questions. I really love this. I appreciate the promo you guys are doing. I cannot wait to be back on the show.
Thanks a lot. Have a
Thank
good
you,
night.
man.
Bye bye. So here we are, Donnie. We're here again, going on to the new week. Let me close up before I take more of your time. Next week, we're going to talk about how to create a fair system for our Ghanaian farmers, especially Ghanaian farmers, specifically in cocoa. We're going to talk to somebody who has been around here in the Netherlands, a true African who is known for setting up projects, durable business projects, to convert it to support our African countries, and that is from
Hmm.
Ivory Coast, Ghana, and so much more. Recently, there was a particular show that zoomed in the fact that our cocoa farmers that are part of the production process of our major chocolate brands actually don't get a fair part of the money. And based on that, we're going to talk about it, talk to him about what he's going to do to change that and how we could bring about change for our African farmers, specifically Ghanaian farmers. That will be next week. So keep an eye on our social media. And of course, Donny, I hope you are having good plans for this week. I hope you're
Yeah,
ready,
it's gonna be. Yep, I am ready. I I am ready.
especially
It's
with
gonna be
you
a
and
good
your
week.
book. I am.
Exactly.
I'm
Me and my
curious.
book. Oh, we're gonna have another long week.
I'm curious to know more next week, so I'll be sure to catch up with you. To all of our listeners, I know this is quite of a busy Sunday. Thank you so much for listening to Africa in Focus. You can catch up with us next week. You can catch up with us by simply watching this recap on YouTube, Africa in Focus with Miss Abba and Donny. And you can also catch up by finding our podcast, which is the audio version of the interesting, most interesting conversations that we've had with our special guests, Africans, global Africans making an impact. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, F Town. What else is there? All of those streaming platforms, Africa in Focus, the podcast, you can find us on there. Stay blessed. Have a good Sunday and enjoy the rest of your week. Peace.
Right. Bye bye. Peace.
Okay, bye bye.